in the past.
Time travel-ish notes. November 28th, 2021. The time dilation wall, or the green wall, the right side of the image, the newly titled time-traveled image. The time dilation wall, I just had an epiphany that I think is a hypothesis that ties so much of this together. Having to do with this wall. Oh. And NASA, their insignia on the metallic gloves, and the being that wants to be Satan, and it's the string fucking theory of time travel wish. In its early first draft is what this is, I think, coming up off the tip of my head. Nothing written so far, top of my tongue, tip of my head. The time dilation wall. I named it that about 2-3 years ago, realizing that after I was trying to find why I looked so thin in the selfie on the green wall, I realized it's not thin, it's compression. And that they're showing me, and that is part of the impossible angle of horizon effect being shown in the time traveled image. So, what if the survivors, hence the survivors of what were being shown in the image in the antique television that is clearly now I'm saying is a world radiation report. And that is Africa in the background, and it's covered in it. So, the survivors with NASA, or wanting to communicate to NASA now in this time, are traveling away from Earth near light speed or faster, and they are experiencing great time dilation. And they run into the being who has found out that something cataclysmic has happened on Earth, and they're going to want to know. And it was a nuclear exchange that just, instant climate crisis. It is all over. Life over. Extinction event of our own making. Very predictable. They want to make changes, but they can't just turn around and come back to the same old timeline. It would be impossible. They, having been a part of the timeline before time travel wish and before the being and before matter transfer back from that time and space where they are. They're in a light speed craft. It's a shitload of them. It's so many of them that the genius of this image, which must have taken some time, significant time, and probably 50 people working on this thing, along with the being claiming the identity Satan, it finds them. It shows them. Proves who he is. Or what kind of a being it is, what kind of a species it is, capable of matter transfer, possibly living in between dimensions, through time, like a Dr. Frickin' Who, jumping around back and forth. It wants to make changes, but they need to come back. They want to come back and live in those changes that they made. They want to be able to turn the ship around and come back and live in the changes that they made while they were apart from our time. That ties in the hypothesis that this is a localized effect around the planet Earth or our solar system. Or possibly a local group. Our neighbors are trapped in it too. Possibly. Of course, it's all possible until we shake the hand of the maker, right? Because this is Earth, modern Earth, scientific method, etc. We gotta really, we're not quite finished proving Einstein's theories, but we've been using a shitload out of them. Don't get me started. However, this hypothesis ties a lot together. It is them meeting the being, them devising a plan with the being, who has shown them what he can do. He can bring things back, including this digital image and itself and monuments, and set up clues. This must be just part of the bargain. All part of the bargain. I mean, the diplomacy itself must have just been weeks and weeks. But for the being, it could have been minutes. We don't know how it lives in time and experiences time. If you can imagine, inside the TARDIS on the Doctor Who show is a living thing. And we may learn that one day in some wild writings. I would write it. Is a living thing. And the Doctor wasn't the only one who stole a time travel ability. They themselves did, his whole species. The Gallifreyans trapped these beings, disguised them as machines. It's good, but it's in line with what we're talking about, what we have here on Earth right now, and what this challenge that we have to meet. We have to get through this. The beings, we could be trapped in a causality loop of the being's making, and its primary purpose is not working for the big head galactic boss in saving humanity, but its purpose would be to entertain itself and bring about the judgment that Western religion wrote about. The being may have pulled this off before to another civilization in another galaxy that had a bunch of mythology written just prime for exploitation by beings like itself. Anyway, pretty obvious as of Christmas Day 2020, communication over the Southern Ocean, again, incapable of doing myself, and me validating that it is the hieroglyph with a circle on a circle at 45 degrees to the bend of the J. Pretty much means I've been chosen as a sort of an AC of sort, and I'm not talking about air conditioning. So this is the first time I think I've set it into the voice recording machine. But that's what it's looking like. So the hieroglyph, maybe I'll talk about that in another audio. Or maybe I won't have to make audios anymore. And the waiting game will be over. And I won't have to think about trying to explain and teach what has happened to me over 7 years and why it is so significant and when, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, this one, the survivors, they want to communicate with NASA. They want, because they are in the family. And they're traveling at light speed or near light speed, and they've experienced time dilation, and 3 years for them could be 3 months for us. The time dilation wall is them. Beneath the wainscoting, there's the other initials, the other J with the other half of the M that you could say is missing from the first appearance of the M next to the J on the wall above it on the green wall. In the darkness. In a corner that can't be defined as a corner. But it should be. And they have made a deal. And they could be, if it takes me 6 months to figure out something because I'm just an average intelligence guy, for them it's, 6 days of anticipation, or 6 hours, or 6 minutes during the commercial break. But let's not go there. Let's not go to the 900-pound guy on a couch 900 years from now, playing a board game called God. And everybody's universe is just a duplicate of this. And he can talk about he's playing God with Bob at work on Monday. How'd you do on your God game, Bob? Did you meet this James character with the time travel-ish thing yet? Did you do him yet? Whew. James out.
In the past.